Welcome to the News Belt on the AM show, and we start from the Member of Parliament for Wa Central, Dr. Rashid Pelpo, who says his side of the House will push for a probe into allegations made by former Environment Minister Professor Kwabena Frimpong-Boateng. He says the minority is worried about government's stance that it is winning the fight against illegal mining. The ranking member on Parliament's Lands and Forestry Committee has been addressing a news conference in Wa, from where Rafiq Salam now reports.
The press conference by ranking member for Parliamentary Committee on Lands and Forestry, a member of Parliament for Wa Central Constituency, Dr. Rashid Pelpo, is in response to the interministerial report on illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey, by former Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, Professor Frimpong-Boateng. He noted that the report by the renowned surgeon established the worst fears of the Akufo-Addo government's fight against pervasive illegal mining in Ghana as a hoax. He registered the displeasure of the minority caucus in Parliament.
We have come to a painful conclusion that the government is fully stripped of all semblance of a serious and determined government entrusted in securing our environment for a future generation. The tragedy of the people of Ghana is that while the people retain complete confidence in government to protect the lands and waters from the destructive activities of Galamsey or illegal mining, the government has clothed itself in the fraudulent conduct and practicing the illegality itself by this alleged involvement. As the minority group in Parliament, we wish to register our utmost disgust and revulsion in government and its involvement in the operations of illegal mining and the illogical denial of the indefensible facts.
Dr. Pelpo averred that the report was released 2 years ago and wondered why the government has delayed in meting out the requisite punishment to all those names who are part of the government and penciled in the report.
It is our considered view that if the government were committed and serious, some practical measures should have been taken to address the very serious issues pointing at its own involvement, despite any challenges in the method of presentation of the report. Indeed, we expected that some individuals should have resigned by now from government, and further investigations should have been conducted, and the people of Ghana assured that they are walking, the government is walking the talk.
He called on civil society organizations to take keen interest in the matter.
It is the worst we've ever had, in which the watchman has become the thief himself. It has become truly difficult to call on the same suspect to set up any investigative body to look more deeply into this matter and closely to ensure that we get to the roots of it.
The ranking member for Parliamentary Committee for Lands and Forestry concluded by disclosing the intention of the minority caucus in Parliament, whilst urging the government to institute an inquiry into the issue.
Now, the Chibihini, Osaberima Mafo Kwabrane, is demanding the presence of former chair of the Interministerial Committee, Professor Kwabena Frimpong-Boateng, in Chibi to show them the exact spot where illegal mining took place that resulted in the destruction of the garden of President Akufo-Addo's private residence in his hometown of Chibi. According to the chief, the allegation is unfounded and an embarrassment to the Achim state. Osaberima Kwabrane says they will not rest until finality is brought to the issue.
Bia eni no crepe pefe bia eni sabe ye wo fa ase no wa ye adwuma wa di politics almost 45 years ni on fa ne hu nkototo se ne manema ono kro ba akra na ye se adwuma no kra on pese ono obekasa nti menyi ni se obi a wa bɔ ne bra as a citizen lawyer odi ne ho be kosa anime na me de kama daroma kama pese Professor Frimpong Boateng no.
There's no truth to what they are saying. My nephew has been in politics for 45 years now, and he won't get involved in such an act. I would like Professor Frimpong Boateng to show us the exact spot where the illegal mining took place. Probably, we have no idea where it is. We have been living in this house for a very long time now, and there's nothing like that going on here.
No starting now. Baby, I would do no be 2 Galamsey. Baby, I would do no be 2 Galamsey. Me and me no boy me. Me and me no boy me. It me cramming 2 Galamsey no 2 Galamsey. Me and me be him cram me 2 Galamsey no president aku 2 Galamsey. Anywho something. As if ya. So say
I am the king here in Chebi, and I don't approve of illegal mining. Not to talk of the president.
Nipa na model. Na say would we need to form amam bibra baba enye se mo facility na mekan yi na ye eniam aye no wo hwe TV so wura ba bi na hwe railway line a waye e de akosi hwe ade mo friends ho etu esoro ho some go for the politics ene yenye say aye eso so bi enka ho asem eso that time eastern corridor go for aka ho asem a o muntimi nye eti enya dia
the president has done a lot for the country.
Yes we enya bibia mo asia.
We should talk about his achievements instead of tarnishing his image.
When bibi amoasia nye bibi no ababua Ghana no abedu say afi ade Galamsey no odimo di betwa no Galamsey eno ebe no iti Frimpong Boateng madaroma mokwa monko invite say president office omra na omekire no ba bia otu Galam ebia ne ye hu ye ni no mani ne soso de ba ye hu ye ti omra na omekire me say ha no tu ye na afi.
We humbly invite Professor Frimpong Boateng to come and locate the exact spot where the illegal mining is being done.
No me who said man penny fear Akufo do too good and then Akufo do be too good oh man penny fear ni ankura ti krom akra obi en too good enye agina he oba ye tete obi en too good.
Now in our next story, pupils in some basic schools in Accra have bemoaned the poor nature of food served under the school feeding program. The students raised the concerns during Joy News' checks over the declaration of a nationwide strike by caterers on the school feeding program. James Kwesi Aveji has more in this report.
We've been to some two public schools in Accra, and what we have picked up is that all 2 schools, the caterers in all 2 schools have reported to work. In fact, and where we are right now, we may not be able to identify the school because the officials that we have been speaking with would want it to remain so for the fear of victimization, what they call victimization, since they have decided to defy the odds of the national directive. But they explained to me that the reason why they have decided to defy the odd is for the interest of the students. The indication we have is that they have reported to school and they are feeding the kids. As you can see, the school we are right now is serving the children banku with okra soup actually. And so that's what they are feeding the kids. In the other school we went, they would not allow us to take any form of interaction or visuals from what is happening, but the assurance they gave us is that the caterers are actually at work and feeding the children. We can interact with some of the children to know what they feel, whether they actually know the caterers are not supposed to be at work at all, and they are what they feel about this food dish that they have been.
Please, yes.
You have heard that they are supposed to be on strike.
Yes.
But are they on strike?
No.
Why?
Please, because the food that the caterers are cooking for us is not good at all. They don't bring for us yam and cotton breast, no meat, no anything, no egg, and the bonku too. Sometimes the soup is water. They are not cooking it well. The beans and the rest of the food too are not good at all. They should cook for us yam and cotton breast.
The beans, they like bringing beans, and the beans too is like water. There's no oil on top, there's no plantain, and the rice too, the stew is too like water. There is no some kinds of things in the stew, so I like it to be comfortable so that I can eat it, and I don't eat it always because of how they cook it.
So today, what were you given?
I did not eat the food
Why?
because I've eaten. I've buy food and I've eaten. And because of how they do the food, I can't eat it.
But you know what they were supposed to eat today?
Yes.
What were they supposed to eat?
Today they ate banku. They don't bring jollof always. It's once a while. Then and the banku too, the soup is once a while that is thick. Always is too like water.
So what do they put on it? Is it fish or meat?
Nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So today's own too had nothing on it.
Yeah.
It will affect me by not eating because my mom doesn't give me enough money to come to school. So by all means, I have to eat the caterers food. So to really affect me.
So if you don't, your mom doesn't give you money, would that mean that you will not come to school at all, or you come and go hungry?
I'll come. But you know, some of my friends, if I ask them, they give me. So I can come and go.
So you just heard the bellboy ringing for break over as the students are entreated to go back to their classroom after being served with the school feeding food. So that's the situation here in some of the schools that we have been visiting around Accra on today, as the caterers, school feeding caterers nationwide, have declared a strike beginning today, Thursday, the 27th of April 2023, until their demands from government are met. For Joy News, my name is James Kwesi Aveji.
Let's head to the Ashanti region now, and Love News' visit to some schools reveals some caterers under the school feeding program have resumed work. Now, pupils in the State Experimental and Eyija cluster of schools are among schools where students were served lunch this week. There is more on that in this report.
I think it's 1 out of thousands because looking at Ashanti region, we are 600 or more. And if you see one person or two people cooking, it means that it's 1 out of 1,000. And I also believe that those people, they have advantage over the poor women because they know how to get their money, and that is why they are comfortable doing it. Otherwise, I don't see why they should cook.
Have you been able to confront these women, and what was their reaction? What did they tell you?
Yes, personally, I asked one woman, and she told me she can't wait to... She's having some stuff there, like she has some beans and then some rice over there, and she wouldn't want to throw them away just because we are on strike, so she would rather cook for the children, and that is why she's cooking. Oh no, a lot of them, majority, about 98%, they are poor. Those who can be on their feet and cook, they are about 2% out of the 1,000, and so we believe that there is something going on. Otherwise, I don't see why you will cook at this time. You don't know how much they are going to pay you. If you cook this time, it means that we are going back to the third term, the 3 terms. Because we have last year third term 1, we've cooked the first term, and now this is the second term, making the 3 terms. So are we now going by 3 terms before one term is paid? No. And I don't think those women really understand what is going on. So we can't force them. Oh, but you went around. You said you saw 2 people. And so if you have a whole Ashanti region and only 2 people are cooking, then it's not significant. It's not significant at all. And we thank God that. But we are pleading with our leaders that they should give these poor women a listening ear, because they are bitter. They are in pain. I know that teachers go on strike and they give them a listening ear. Why are they refusing to give these poor women a listening ear? I believe elections are coming and they will still need these poor women to go down there and do those donkey work. And I'm afraid.
So for the 4 weeks that you've withdrawn your services, you've not been invited to any quarters to listen to what you have?
Nobody. Only threatening. If you don't cook, we'll take the school. If you don't cook, we will deduct it. And these are kind of words that we hear from them. But what pains me most is that those who are doing that, they are old people. They've enjoyed their life. And now they want to provoke the younger one and then go away. And I don't think they love even MPP. If they want MPP to be in power again, they will never treat these poor women this way. Because they are going to also treat them bad coming this election. They say it. And that is why some of us are voicing out for them to hear.
Now, the effective implementation of the Sustainable Mobility Project in Kumasi is expected to help control the rapid urbanization and population growth of the city. Ghana's second most populous city is faced with severe traffic congestion and road safety issues due to the over-reliance on low-capacity passenger vehicles and poor road systems. Local authorities in Kumasi are hoping the Urban Mobility Project will solve this challenge. There is more in this report.
Kumasi's population is about 3.7 million, and a majority of the people can be found in the city center. Similarly, Kumasi's vehicle population stood as close to 207,000 as of 2015 and is increasing rapidly. The increased human vehicle population ratio and mobility demand requires rapid motorization. The streets of Kumasi are characterized by inadequate traffic management, heavy dependency on public transportation services, inadequate walking and cycling facilities, and the encroachment of roads by hawkers. The Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan, developed for the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, recommends the implementation of solutions to mitigate mobility issues in the city. The plan suggested an improvement in road infrastructure, including dualization of roads and improvements in transportation systems. Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah said there are plans to develop high-capacity transport buses and massive road expansions in Greater Kumasi.
When you go to the central business district area, you have very heavy vehicular congestion and then human congestion. In order to solve this problem, we are having a project which is being financed by AFD, African Development Bank, and is going to open up the various routes such that we increase the number of public vehicles, but not owned by the private sector. Most of the public vehicles we have are small capacity vehicles. For instance, if you take the trotro, the maximum that they can take is about 20 people. Meanwhile, if we have a bus that can take about 60 people, that means that if you bring one large capacity bus, it's taking off about 3 vehicles off the road and minimizing the number of vehicles you have on the road at a particular time. But because before you can do this, it will also mean that you need some development on the route itself. You may have to create parking lots at the side of the roads where these long buses or big buses can park.
Head of the Transportation Engineering Division at the Building and Road Research Institute of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, Williams Aka, believes the mobility plan will influence an effective plan to tackle transport needs.
There are 16 municipal metropolitan district assemblies involved in the expanded Kumasi area. And the idea is to come up with a livable city, a city where people will be able to travel freely, a city where there won't be so much emissions from mobility.
Mahmoud Dean, project officer for the French Agency for Development, noted the enforcement of the plan would require inclusiveness.
Yes, I think that the enforcement is mainly not the best situation when it comes to implement the transport project. But the key, I think the most important thing is to have a very inclusive approach to get all the assemblies involved. That's why we have targeted expanded Kumasi, not only Kumasi, because the issue of transport is not only in Kumasi, but we have other assemblies involved in that issue.
The Sustainable Mobility Project is financed by the African Development Bank. Reporting for Joy News, Clinton Yeboah.
In our final story, today, Many international organizations use access to safe drinking water and safely managed sanitation facilities as a measure of progress against poverty, disease, and death. Taking these into consideration, a young politician in the Bolgatanga East constituency of the Upper East region is constructing boreholes for communities there as a way of contributing his quota to the development of the area and to help him get closer to his people. Correspondent Albert Sori has more.
Dry, sunny, and drab. This is the month of April in the Upper East region when the rains have not yet arrived. Access to water becomes critical at this time of the year. But here in the Dubila community in the Bolgatanga East district, hundreds of people did not have access to clean drinking water until just now. They often had to travel long distances to other communities to get access to the nearest borehole.
The time there was no water, we always go far away. The river, we always fetch. It was very far, and then the challenge is that when we come far away from our house, the time we get to the house, we all become tired. The old women too cannot go there. We, those who also have children, cannot go and fetch the water because of our children.
When we are not having a borehole, we suffer a lot. We go to dams and fetch water. We go to far places and fetch the water. Children will get up early, bath and go to school. Because of there is no borehole, they will go. If they return, by the time that they are returning home to bath and go, they will be late to school.
With the very hot weather in this part of the country at this time of the year, these would have been difficult times for the community members of Dubila. But help has finally arrived with the Silas Amwa Foundation constructing a new borehole for the community. Matthew Silas Amwa started this foundation.
Water, I think, is one of the major problems in our constituencies because some people just don't have access to water. I think growing up in this community or probably growing up in other communities, I see how people struggle to get water. So if we are capable, why not? Why do we allow our mothers, our sisters to walk such long distances to fetch water from dams? It's not right if we know we are in a situation to, give them good water to drink.
The chiefs, elders, and people of Dubila were full of joy when the borehole was commissioned. Matthew Silas Amwa, through his foundation, has also extended the gesture to the Zuarungu Dabori and Dulugu communities, as well as the Gambibgo Primary School, constructing boreholes for them to help improve their access to clean drinking water.
The land of the school is lying on a rocky table. So they have tried several times to get water for the school. Water never came. They would dig and hit a rock. So the students, when there is a break, you see them loitering around, some going to houses to drink water. So it affects classes. So that problem has been solved.
Matthew Silas Amwa recently declared his intention to contest in the new Patriotic Party's parliamentary primaries in the Bolgatanga East constituency when nominations are opened, with the hope of eventually representing his people in parliament. This has generated some criticism for him, with some people in the constituency accusing him of doing the philanthropic work only because he is looking for political favor. Amwa, however, downplays these criticisms, saying that he is helping the people only because he is now in the position to do so, and irrespective of whether or not he gets the nod to lead them politically, he still would have done some good for the people of Bolgatanga East.
If I'm even going to contest, I don't know if they are even going to vote for me to be whatever. If I don't win, am I coming to pick this pipe away from here? No. I have helped paid kids' school fees. So if I don't get a chance to lead, would I go back to institutions and say, give me my money? I see it as developments. You can't actually want to lead something when you are not development oriented.
He says he will continue to use the Silas Amwa Foundation to do charity work to help improve the lives of people within his home constituency and other parts of Ghana, whether he is in politics or not. For Joy News, Albert Sorry, Dubila, Bolgatanga East District.
It's a wrap for the news, but stay with us. Up next, I am joined by my colleague Samuel Kojo Brace as we get into the latest from the newspapers. We'll be right back.